Got it.
Man, so are you in Paris right now?
Yeah, man. I'm here with Gregory Porter in Paris, and we're out here um, doing a show. It's like the Django Reinhardt Festival,
Hmm.
but we're just staying in Paris until Thursday, and then it's kind of far from here, like an hour and a half out of Paris, but yeah, we've kind of been here. We were here last week as well.
Okay. Oh man, so you in Paris, and then where you headed from there?
Um, that's a good question. Let me see. Because because he has us out here till July 10th.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we go to Greece. Yes, be nice.
Woo.
Greece will
Nice.
be fun. Greece and then Italy, like Palermo, Italy, back to New York, France, London, Copenhagen, Denmark, going to Ghent, going to Spain. We'll do North Sea. We got North Sea Jazz
North Sea?
Fest.
Yes, yes.
That's cool. And Netherlands, and then come home on the 12th. Yeah.
Should be fire, man.
Yeah. Could you still see me when I got
Oh
off of
no, you're good.
Okay.
I could see when when you're browsing on your phone or whatever. Um,
Oh, okay.
oh, I think Cameron's trying to get in.
The camera's what?
No, somebody was just trying to get in the call.
Oh, okay. Is that
Man,
normal?
man, this is great because I it's been a while since I saw you, bro. When's the last time we were? Wait, did we do the Harlem Museum joint?
Have I done the Harlem Museum?
No, the last time I saw you, was it in Harlem or was it
Oh, I think it might have been
Oma?
Django.
Oh, it's Django.
Yeah, because you were just about to go to Israel.
And which group did we do Django?
Um, yeah, what group was that? I remember being on stage with you
Because
playing.
we did MoMA,
Yeah.
and then we did Harlem. We did Harlem Jazz Society or Harlem Jazz Museum. Remember
Mm-hmm.
that one?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm
I
not
remember that.
sure. Could have been one of those, either that or Django.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely remember we did the Jamaica Center back then, and then we did MoMA with and then we did, like you said, the Harlem Museum, and then I did see you at Django or something because you were talking about going to
Israel.
Israel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Man,
yeah.
so let's get straight into it, man. We got the great Tivon Pennicott in the shed, man. You're someone. The first time I heard you play was at the Thelonious Monk competition, and
Mm.
ever since then, I was like, oh man, this cat. I can't wait till I get to New York, to connect with these guys. And surely enough, you're one of those people that would be coming up to Smalls, playing the right, playing it, with Roy at Smalls Jazz Club, and those were the times, and you're someone that carries that torch in a lot of ways, and you're one of the leading voices on your instrument, and you're playing with all the greats, Gregory Porter, and we also play with John Batiste, and all these things that are going on, man. It's great to connect with you and to ask questions, man. How are you feeling today?
Feeling great, man. I appreciate those words. As you know, where it's an ongoing thing. Every time you have an opportunity to play with anybody that you look up to, like Roy or some of your peers that are doing well, like John Batiste. Or I used to play with Kenny Burrell. I started out with him and then just getting some foundation. Anytime you get that chance, you savor it, you take what you can, and then it's always what's next. That's the new thing. It's like once you do something, what's next?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man, you're someone that I find that you have such a wealth of knowledge, man, when it comes to just music, and you kind of have like a sense for just a lot of different styles in general. Like we had conversations before about it. And, I just wanted to know, like, in the shed, we ask people first off, like, how do you shed, man? Like, what's your shedding situations like usually these days, even
These
before?
days.
Yeah, these days or even before, and like what brought you or got you to this place where you're at now.
Yeah. Well, it's changed. Obviously, the more you work, the less you have time to really get in the shed like you probably would like to. But when I started out, it just, I have to be honest, it was just a tremendous passion that I had. Just when I discovered that when I discovered my love for jazz and my love for playing the saxophone, um, it didn't feel like it's like, okay, this is my practice time. This is the time I need to work on this or that. It was just fluid. It was a flow of a big desire, big passion for because what I listening to the records, I would be so inspired and really loved. I was a fan. I loved the music, and I wanted to just listen and also play it. That's so early on. I couldn't get the horn out of my mouth when I started in middle school. I would kind of relentless trying to figure out things and trying to just I was just kind of obsessed as a kid, and I think that was a great situation because I'm not the kind of guy that just to be natural as like very disciplined and like, okay, each day I have a routine to practice and all that. um but so I would say I've put in the work before, but it wasn't something that you know it wasn't like disciplined work. It was just living life and doing what I loved you know so when it comes down to like the specifics of it, it's pretty random. It was just take it out, play whatever I heard that day, work on that, and if I could do it, then I would enjoy doing it. But if I couldn't do it, I was stubborn. I was like, I want to get it. And then it's kind of always been like that. So um, yeah, that's kind of how I practiced then. As I got when I went to college, I went to University of Miami, started learning about some things that I never had heard previously, about the modes and harmony and how to, the options that you have on different chords and stuff like that. And a lot of my peers were way ahead of me. So I remember one summer, I was fortunate enough to go on a cruise ship, to work on a cruise ship in like I guess they call it the show band. And when you're on the cruise ship, you only play at night, and you have the whole day to just do whatever you want. So my in the shed moments, like deep in the shed moments, was when I was like 18, 19, just finished my freshman year, and all this information was in my head, something that I couldn't even execute on my horn. I just remember just being on the back of the ship watching like the ocean, and we would see dolphins and stuff, but I'll just be playing. I'll be just working on all the stuff that I learned that semester, and that was the time that I had the biggest growth musically, um, and yeah, the whole summer. So, and I'm trying to tap into that again. I'm like, how can I find a situation where I can get into that again? But that's kind of how I do it, man. I just kind of go with the flow.
Mm. And how long was that period, that summer? Was that like 4 months or like?
Well, it was between freshman and sophomore year in college. So I did a month contract on the ship. So it was basically 4 weeks of just
Oh,
intense shedding all day, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and then play at night. Then 2 months after that, went back home and just continued shedding, but it wasn't as intense. But 1 month. So it's surprising what you can do when you really want to, like just 1 month.
yeah.
So it was a big, yeah.
That's also interesting in terms of like practicing what you're passionate about compared to what being told to you to practice. Like there's a difference, and it's interesting to hear you talk about how you just went through that process and got to where you are, and
Mm.
it shows that you can practice what truly moves you, and still get to a point where, you know, you're further ahead than you could ever imagine you would have been, compared to practicing what's told for you to practice and not finding the same level of joy out of, maybe say practicing what the school told you to practice for a whole semester instead of practicing what truly moves you musically,
Yeah.
What do you think
No,
about that?
I think that you need a balance. I think you need a tremendous balance with that, because I do wish that I was a little bit more consistent, with kind of focusing in and isolating my weaknesses, things that don't come as easily to me. I think that's really important. I feel like the passion for the music, if you don't have that, you know, why are you playing? Take a break or try to find a way to get inspired by something. But I think that it should be a given that you just love the music, and you love playing your instrument and expressing yourself. So on top of that, I think it's important to have, even though I'm not, I wouldn't be the best one to follow with as far as how I learned. But I do think that just because of that 1 month that I actually did that, can you imagine? I think about it. Can I imagine if I could do that? If I had the capacity to be that consistent and disciplined for longer periods of time, and what could I? How could I be able? How would I be able to express myself now? What would it
Mm,
be like?
mm.
Um, so I do think I admire people that have a specific work ethic and discipline in that way. And as I get older, I can do it. I can do it. Just now I'm working a lot, and the more you work, the less you have time to shed. So now you just do. Um, you just have to be really smart about what you practice when you do have the time. Uh, just make sure you maintaining is big, and then just stay curious without the horn in your mouth, and also when you're playing, go immediately to the things that you feel like don't come as naturally. That's tough for you.
You're someone that have like a great sense of harmony in the piano, and you play with what's the drummer's name that you play a lot with at Smalls?
Ari Honig.
Ari Honig, right? And so it's like a
Yeah.
lot of that music, like, so you kind of like you have an ability to kind of jump in a lot of different vibes, right? And right now you're playing with Gregory Porter, and it's like I'm also just trying to connect that to how do you how do you think about different musical languages, and how do you also go about building your harmonic knowledge and just your understanding of music and everything in connection to the piano and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think it starts with just understanding how music works. Western music, I would say it's a great start. Understanding all the sounds, the most complicated functional sounds to the most complicated infunctional. How you say unfunctional? Whatever
Yeah.
things that you know, chords and sounds that you start to sound familiar to you, and that you just basically build a harmonic vocabulary. With I always like to tell my students and stuff, like it's important to have a strong output, basically your vocabulary that you're playing. If there's nothing, I can create something from my head and start something. That's your part of your output. But just as important, if not, in my opinion, even more important, is your input, what you're taking, what you're listening to. When people are giving something on the bandstand, can you understand what the information is, whether it's harmonically, rhythmically, or melodically, or phrases? You know, can you your input, the ability to take it in, process it, understand it, so that there's no excessive brain power that's stopping you from your output. You know,
Mm.
and so that is the start, getting your harmony getting your melody together. And and I've always, when I met you, I realized, I saw that in you, that you took that to heart. Roy is like that, like making sure that you know the changes and being able to stay on the side if you don't know a song, hearing it from the side from the first time, and then being able to come and play, get there and play after you hear a couple courses, a few courses. That's your input, and then then you do the same thing rhythmically. Um, when you know, when you're in a situation where the rhythms, I think there's a difference between, obviously there's rhythms and there's time. You gotta have a nice time feel, which is the most important when you're playing eighth notes or when you're improvising. But then within your time feel, different rhythms, advanced rhythms can be a part of that. And depending on what situation you're in, sometimes to a lot of horn players, it might be unfamiliar. But for me, being in Miami, had an opportunity to play with some people that were just always doing that. And I was just thrown in the fire a lot. They would be going off and I'd just be lost. And it was kind of a culture of that in Miami. But I have to admit that I always phrased differently. I always phrased in an unconventional way as well. And maybe that kind of, there's some mutual attraction there. Who knows? It was, you're Caribbean, from maybe it's from the Jamaican culture, maybe that's the rhythms. Who knows why I phrase differently? But I'll be doing things like step that just I would just phrase like that, as opposed to like a typical, I don't know where I got it from, but um, so then the drummers follow you, you learn from them. It's kind of built on that. By the time I got to New York, Ari Honig, that was like the ultimate. I'm like, all right, what is going on? And so he saw in me that I could maybe learn a little bit, and be able to hang, by playing with him. And I kind of learned a lot. So yeah, long story short, just really focusing in, honing in on the harmony, melody, and your input, ears, listening, hearing chords, hearing changes. One thing that Roy Hargrove had, uh, he had his, what do you call it, master classes, or I guess what you call it. It's kind of like a jam session master class back in the day, like 2010, at the Jazz Gallery. And he would just be up there, and he would just teach people songs on the spot. So he would say, okay, all right, you come up, couple horn players come up, rhythm section. And he's like, all right, we're going to learn a tune. And he just played through it one time. Yeah. And it's like some complicated, I forgot what song it was. I forgot which one it was. Wish I could remember, but it was like something that you can't get the first time. But he played through it, all the changes, and like piano player knew it, and they played it, and then he just finished the last note. He's like, all right, you got it? And everybody was like, no. So he played through it again. Second time, you start to get it a little bit. You're like using a lot of brain power. And after like the fourth time, you know, I was starting to get it. People starting to get it, but it wasn't there yet. And his thing, what he said was, man, y'all got to work on y'all's ear training, you know? And I thought that was interesting, because usually when people talk ear training, you talk about, can you play a note? Can you play a phrase and play it back? Can you play chord and know what that chord is and understand the form and all that? But there's a whole nother thing of ear training, which is memorizing it, something quickly. And that is when he said you got to work on ear training, because we would play the notes back, but you just can't remember it for the next time because it was some complicated thing. That's ear training. That's the real it. These gospel cats, they got that crazy ear training. Even if they can't even if they're fishing for notes, it's like they're like you know, they finally get it. But once they get it, be complicated as anything. But the next time around, they remember it. So I played with a lot of people that are just phenoms at memorization, you know? Like, and I feel like that's my weakness. I can hear what you're doing, I can hear the melodies, I can hear the harmonies, but to remember it the second time around, it's like a whole different. So Roy was strong with that. Roy can remember songs. He'd be like, hear it once or twice and remember it. John Batiste, that's how he does on the show. When he was doing the Colbert show, we would just learn like 6 or 7, 8 songs. You've done it. I think yeah,
Yeah,
you've
we've
done it.
done it too. Yeah, that
Yeah, yeah. Memorize it so we'll get it the first, understand it, and then he's like, all right, y'all got it. And then you gotta like who else is like that? I played with Joe Thomas, R&B singer. And so he's coming from the church. These church guys, they they know the harmony and stuff. But we say, oh, we got rehearsal, and there's like 10 songs with specific horn lines and hits, and you got to know when to come in and when the lines are. You know, I remember going into rehearsal, and I'm like, is there music? It's like, no, there isn't music. And they would just be like, all right, he'll show us the horn lines, play through it. You get it, right? Okay, learn how to play the song. Got it. We go to the second song, third, fourth, fifth. He's like, all right, let's go back to the first. And then you're like, wait, how does it go again? That's ear training. And that's in a different way. And he would be like, man, didn't you you went to Berkeley or something, bro? Like you can't I thought you had some ears, bro. So it's like I can hear it, but can I remember it? Yeah. So it's a good lessons for me. Um,
yeah, because to me, what it looks like to me is that like being able to hear it, number one, but being able to hear it enough where it's remembering. I guess it's like getting the ears to the point where you hear it so well, where it's not as difficult to recall. You know,
right. Yeah.
it's interesting how
Letting
that
it,
works.
yeah. Letting it infiltrate your subconscious.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
A direct link to the subconscious through
Yes.
through you being so familiar with the just musical material in general, that it's not hard uh, for it to speak through, right?
Right.
Because the time that it takes for you to like decipher what's going on is taking
Mhm.
away from the ability for you to just memorize it from the first time. You see, it's interesting how to if we try to we're not like I'm not a brain surgeon or anything like that, but I'm just trying to imagine what's going on in the brain when we're still like breaking down information compared
Mm.
to just saying, oh, he's saying this, saying this, saying this, compared to like, oh, did he say this or did he not say this? It's like two different kind of inputs,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like just like what did you do today? And you're like, oh, I went here, I did this, I did that, and you don't have to really think about it. You just remember because you heard it, you did it. It has kind of have to be like that an experience as opposed to like analyzing each step of the way, which
Yeah.
can block you sometimes. Yeah.
You said it earlier. You said at not using excessive brain power, which takes away from your ability uh to get into the flow or something. Did you
Yeah.
remember you said that?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly. When I said that, I was talking in regards to expression. Sometimes if you don't know what something is, then you're not really sure on what your next move would be. It's like having a conversation and somebody starts talking about a topic that you're not familiar with. You could say, right, oh, okay, but you can't really add to it if you don't know a little bit about what they're talking about, you know? So you have to kind of like, oh, who is that? And they have to explain it to you. Then you start to get it. It's like, man, you should have done that work at home, you know?
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's beautiful when we put it that way. And I think this is why these conversations are great to have because yeah, man, there's some misconceptions, about it. There's some misconceptions about how we should be, doing air training. And I'm happy you said that because Roy is definitely the greatest example of that, man. He definitely had actually thinking about it, Roy was telling me, or I don't think Roy was telling me, but you came to a Roy show at Blue Note and
Hmm.
they were playing a tune that you didn't know and you learned it right then and there.
I
You
did.
remember that? You remember
Me?
that? Yeah. You were sitting in and
Oh,
I would think it was I think it might have been could have been
was that
could have been Shapizi.
was it Vanguard or the Blue Note?
Blue Note. And he played it like maybe twice around or something, and you came in and played on it. I remember that. I vividly remember that. But
Wow.
but that's an example of what you're talking about, right? And
Yeah.
that's an
Yeah.
ability. That's an ability that you can't really replace. You can't really replace
Mm,
that ability, and
yeah.
it's funny
And I
because
love. Yeah. Go ahead.
no, you got it. I was gonna say something else.
No, and I love to take it even further. You know, I want to be. I've always imagined the ability to make up a song on the spot and basically have everyone, not everyone fooled, but just everyone comfortable with what's going on. Not it's not like, oh, they're struggling to make something up. But if if your ears are on peak level, I would say, when it comes to memorization, harmony, melody, rhythm, then that means all you have to do is start something and make it musical, and then you can repeat it later if you remember it, and you have the ears to play a line a few times, and then your partner can join you and play with you, and then you can remember it at the end and come back to it. That allows for literal literal playing free. You know, when you play free, playing free doesn't mean it has to be avant-garde or atonal. It can be a functional way of playing free. um, People call it jamming or whatever. Let's jam on one chord. But what if you jammed on a chord progression that's unconventional chord progression that has these hits on the third bar every time you go around, and there's this melody here that's pretty intricate, and you play it through once, and everybody gives their piece of input, but everybody's taking it in, and then it becomes something special. That's that's that ear training, man. That's what allows you to truly be creative, man. And that's something I would love to continue to work towards. We do it, but we can always be better. But I like that. I'm really into that.
Like creating room for or creating opportunities for musical moments, for high levels of musicality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like to take that further too, because I remember one time we were talking about this on the road with John Batiste, where we talked about how when creating a solo,
Mm,
do you have a set kind of thought process
mm,
before, or are you like creating it all on the spot, like just for the first time, right in that one moment, right? And
mm.
what are your thoughts on that in terms of your creation process?
I think it should be all the above. All the above. Certain situations, you I feel like it's important to have the ability to have an idea of what you want to do and pretty much execute it like a classical player, classical musician would do, and still have it come across as if it has the same, fire and the same meaning, and that's what classical musicians work on. That they work on this specific, even though they're playing the same thing over and over. And I think that's important. I think you can do that in your recording when you record albums and stuff. It's okay. Have something that you're gonna go to, that you start with, just something to get you going. I think that's okay. And I used to not think that's like, oh man, you gotta, be on the spot. You gotta truly improvise. No, but I think that's okay. And I think some of the greats did that, and that's okay. And I also think that, and this is how I play most of the time. It's just like I have no idea what it will be until it's there. A lot of times I get to the point right before I'm about to play, and I have all these ideas. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Actually, no, okay, now I'm gonna do this, and then it gets there, completely abandoned, because in a split second, the mood, the spirit changes, and you just go for it. So most of the time, especially when I'm not like recording or something, or I just let it fly, and just go off of instinct.
Yeah, man, that's great to talk about because I think, yeah, I think the other side in terms of letting the creative juices just free and moment and kind of playing in the moment. That's actually an ability that you can't teach, but it's very important skill when it comes to like improvising. Like I think that creates the opportunities there too
Mm.
for other things to come about. But
Oh yeah.
I guess you can look at it as like starting an engine or starting a car, right?
Mm.
And it's like
Yeah.
that kind of thing where you turn the keys like that action itself could be an intro or like a an introductory line that leads you somewhere else
Yeah.
without you
Yeah.
you know
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And when you think about it, man, we all repeat ourselves, whether we like it or not. It's just basically like, um, when do you repeat yourself? You're not gonna do it in the same set. You're not. Maybe if you're playing 1 week, you're not gonna play the same. But after a while, you'll be like, oh, I haven't done that in a while, and you feel like it feels new. So you know what I'm saying? Like everyone, just like we speak, we're gonna repeat the same phrases, but in a moment, I can't just keep saying the same phrases and then saying this word phrases all the time, because every time I say the word phrases, it's just like, yo, bro, you saying phrases so many times, phrases. But probably in my life, I'm gonna say phrases a lot. It's just same thing when you're improvising. You're gonna repeat yourself. You're gonna repeat the ideas that are you. You create your own sound, your own vocabulary, which I think is extremely important. Create your own vocabulary after you've done the work. Listen to all the records. It's okay to transcribe yourself. Get get your own sound in your brain, so that, um, you know you're comfortable with being you. So whether you compose slowly, you compose lines that make you feel like you, whether you do that slowly or you do it in the moment and you go back and you say, oh, I like that, and you keep it. um, it's all improvised. It's all composition, I should say. It's all composition, whether you do it in the moment or you do it slowly and write a song. And so that's what I mean by, you know you can do, um, you can have something already set in your mind, and or you can just let the stream of consciousness go, which probably will end up with you repeating something that you played before anyway. You just got to have a lot in your bag.
Man, that connects to some of the things that we've heard from Bobby Watson, uh,
Mm.
and even Gary Bartz. Gary Bartz talk about how we're composers and not improv. We're not more so improvisers, but we're really composers because we have to come up with something that's meaningful, right? Or that's
Yes.
substantive and in real time. And then Bobby Watson talks about how we all have a song we're trying to play throughout our entire life.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was kind of deep. And, so I was just like, this all connects to what we're talking about. And,
yeah,
and it's deep because this process into unlocking, what's inside and how to get that out.
yeah. What was the last thing you said? It cut out.
Oh, this is the process of unlocking, right? Unlocking the things that
Yes.
are what's inside and trying to figure out, okay, what am I really trying to say here?
Yeah.
Uh, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna send you another link because this call is running out of time, so we
Okay.
can finish up the last 20 minutes.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
good. All right.